Welcome back to Pop Goes the Kernel, where we dive into today's latest pop culture, music, television, movies, and more. I'm Jackson Redish.
I'm Bella Lindsey, and today's episode will be a full breakdown on the 2026 Oscar nominations.
Let's get popping.
The opinions expressed on this podcast are the speaker's own and don't uphold the opinions expressed by the Kentucky Kernel. We use the term Super Bowl a lot on this podcast, but I think I can safely say, especially for us two sitting here, that this is our Super Bowl. The 2026 Oscar nominations dropped on Thursday, January the 22nd, and there's a lot to discuss. The 98th Academy Awards will take place on the 15th of March, hosted by Conan O'Brien for the second year in a row.
That's right. He did do it last year.
Yeah. And he did a great job. Better than Nikki Glaser. So I much prefer him over Nikki Glaser.
Yeah, their styles of hosting are different, but of course, both comedians. I mean, I know he has his late night show, but of course, they're both funny.
Yeah,
but
I think he fits the more prestigious vibe of this.
I agree. Nikki Glaser's fun, but if you wanted to, like you said, more prestigious kind of guy, I think Conan O'Brien definitely, because you also want someone that's going to make jokes as well, and he's right up your alley, of course.
Right. But let's get into how the Academy chooses movies that they nominate. So only Academy members get to vote. The Oscars are run by the Academy of Motion Picture of Arts and Sciences, which is basically just a big group of film professionals, actors, writers, directors, etc. And only these members can vote on the nominations. A movie has to, of course, be eligible, which has to meet a big list, but at least 1 week in theaters in certain U.S. cities. And only certain members get to vote for certain things. So each group within the Academy is called a branch, and each branch only votes for the nominees in their own field. Actors nominate actors, writers nominate writers, directors nominate directors, and so on. But for Best Picture, everybody in the Academy gets a vote. And then they rank their choices first, second, third. And how they count the votes, if one movie gets a lot of number one votes, it makes the nomination list. If not, the movies with the fewest votes get dropped, and the votes for them go to the people's next choices. And this keeps happening until enough movies get enough support to make the nominee list. Most categories only have 5 nominations, except for Best Picture, which have 10. And after nominations, everybody votes for winners. So it doesn't matter if you're an actor in an actor branch, you can still vote for best writing or, whatever. So that's how the nominations work. And to my understanding, they made it a lot harder this year to vote for movies that you've seen this year. It was a big controversy last year that a lot of the voters hadn't even seen half the movies. But to my understanding, they made it a lot harder to vote this year. You had to be a lot more qualified.
And, that's good because we want the most qualified and the people with the most, intake and detail and information to make that kind of decision. I mean, this isn't just kind of some, JV award show where everyone gets a participation award. This is the Oscars, right? I think the most prestigious award you can get when it comes to making movies. Golden Globes is great. Emmys are great. But I think Oscars is above it all.
I agree.
So this year, special year, of course, for the 98th Academy Awards. To start off, Sinners broke a record, right? They earned a record-breaking 16 nominations, which makes this the most nominated film in Oscars history, Academy Awards history. What are your thoughts on that?
This is probably my top 3 movie of the whole year. We've had discussions on this. I think I saw this movie 3 or 4 times in movie theaters.
Dang.
It was definitely one of my favorite movies of the year. Top 3 movie for me. I'm certainly not surprised. I'm definitely interested to see how they're going to perform because I kind of thought that they were going to sweep at the Critics' Choice and the Golden Globes, and they haven't done that so far. So I'm very interested to see how they're going to perform at the Oscars, but it is no surprise to me that they broke this record because I had no qualms, no criticism for this movie.
Yeah, I mean, Sinners, I didn't see it when it came out right away in theaters, but I heard a lot of noise from it, right? Everyone was talking about how great it was, how big it was. almost to the point where people were saying it's like one of the greatest movies of all time. And when I went and saw it, I didn't necessarily get that feeling. I do think it is top 5 movies this year for me that came out. Definitely top 10, of course. But, I just personally, it didn't, strike my heart as much as most people did. I still gave it, I think, 4 out of 5 on Letterboxd. But amazing movie, and I'm not disappointed, and I'm, okay with the fact that it did get 16 nominations. Do I think it'll sweep? Probably not. Yeah. I don't think so, especially kind of how it acted at the Golden Globes. I don't think it happened again. Other records as well. Timothée Chalamet becomes the youngest actor since Marlon Brando to receive 3 Best Actor nominations, right? Both actors were 30 when they reached this milestone. What do you think this means for Chalamet?
This is not surprising to me. Kind of since A Complete Unknown last year, he's kind of been talked about as the next big thing. I'm not sure which award ceremony it was last year. I want to say it was the BAFTAs, but he gave this whole big speech about, I want to be one of the next greats. And I think he's well on his way to being one of those. I mean, he had amazing performances in Little Woman, in many other movies. There's not anything that I've kind of seen him in that I've been like, this is a weak performance. He's a very strong performer. He's very passionate about what he does in the whole industry. And I think he is well on his way to becoming, a Tom Cruise, a Brad Pitt, a greatest of our time. People talk about in 30 years. Yep. I think Timothée Chalamet will be one of the greatest of our generation.
Oh, I absolutely agree. And to your point, there is no bad performance that he has given. Like you said, Little Women, the Dune movies.
Willy Wonka.
Even Wonka. Like, Wonka was a great performance by him. Call Me By Your Name, Beautiful Boy.
Gorgeous.
Bones and All. Like, those movies that he has done, he has never given anything that was subpar and below his best. And I agree. I think by the time he retires, and in his speech, he said he wants to be one of the greats. He wants to be like, I think he mentioned DiCaprio, dropped Al Pacino. I mean, at 30 right now, he is on par to be in that conversation. Absolutely. I mean, for what he's doing at this age now. And I love how humble he is about it, and he takes on roles that are different from each other. He's not doing the same movies. He's doing different movies. You go from A Complete Unknown with Bob Dylan, now he's doing Marty Supreme, right? I love how each movie he's in will be different, and the next year he's going to be doing Dune 3.
I didn't even realize that he was 30. I thought he was kind of like
he just
25 to 27. Like, he strikes me as very much kind of a Gen Z type of character. Like, he's very relatable, and people even love him, like, outside of movies, just his personality.
Yeah,
so.
He definitely looks young as well. I want to pick him as 30, but, he just turned 30, of course, and I'm excited for, the rest of his career, what movies he's going to come out, if he's going to continue doing amazing performances such as Marty Supreme.
Now that we know how these movies are nominated and some of the big records that were broken this year, let's talk about the nominations, and let's start off with the biggest category. It gets the most nominations, 10, like I mentioned previously, Best Picture.
Yeah, Best Picture, also known as top prize when it comes to the Academy Awards. And, it's the highest honor, most outstanding overall film. I think this is the biggest award personally you can possibly get. And, 10 movies go into this. Like you said, every other category will get, right around that 5, maybe even 6. But, 10 movies. And the nominations for Best Picture goes Begonia, F1, Frankenstein, Hamnet, Marty Supreme, One Battle After Another, The Secret Agent, Sentimental Value, Sinners, and Train Dreams.
Now, before we get into who we think is going to win this category, let's talk about the biggest surprise I feel like in this category. The kind of one that stands out to me is F1 the movie. Now, I am the biggest F1 fan, not of the movie, but of the sport in general, and I did love this movie. As many qualms as I have about this movie, love this movie. Yeah. But for me, I feel like we rarely see these types of summer blockbusters, because that's what it is, a summer blockbuster. Even though it did do really well, it is a summer blockbuster. Even though it was a summer many blockbusters, it's a summer blockbuster.
Great ratings.
Great ratings.
Great box office.
Performed well domestically, internationally.
Yep.
But I don't know. I just feel like we never really see these types of summer blockbuster action movies. Like, I feel like I never see like a Mission Impossible, and that's kind of what it reminds me of in here. So that's why I was surprised to see it in here.
No, yeah, I definitely agree. I was shocked to kind of see F1 on this list because when you look at some of these movies that have been talked about at previous award shows and have been talked about by critics all year long, you're not surprised by Sinners. You're not surprised by One Battle After Another. You're not surprised by Marty Supreme, Train Dreams. The list keeps going. But F1, it sticks out because it's unlike the rest. Because you're right, it is that blockbuster movie, and I'm happy to see it on the list. I'm a big F1 fan. This was my movie of the year last year, and the award goes to overall film, so basically movie of the year. You know, if I was being biased, like, of course, you know, I would love to throw it into that category, but I think as far as movie performance and just overall other categories, I think it falls short.
Was this your top movie, though, of 2025, F1?
It's funny because it was my favorite movie of 2025. I love seeing it in theaters. I think it was very action-packed. Not once was I bored, and it was over 2.5-hour film, and it was incredible watch. And I'm not an F1 fan, so
Right.
I didn't really get, you know, too many of the references and, you know, whether or not it was accurate or not.
I mean,
to the actual
you
F1.
literally had the actual F1 drivers in this film. I
Sure
really
did.
thought with this film that I was going to be able to get you to actually watch F1,
Yeah,
but alas.
and Lewis Hamilton, big part of the production of the movie. And
Top Gun Maverick directed this.
He sure did, yeah. And, you know, and they're speaking on a sequel to it with bringing back Days of Thunder's Tom Cruise. But nevertheless, you know, let's get into our picks, what we think will win this category, and then what we want to win. So tell me, what do you want to win Best Picture?
I think this is a absolutely stacked category. What I want to win and what I think is going to win are very different. I watched every single one of these movies, and I could look at them confidently and say, besides maybe F1, that every single one could win. Secret Agent performed amazingly at Golden Globes, won in its category, and so did Marty Supreme. What I want to see win, Sinners. It's no secret. I think for most of these categories here, I'm going to say I want Sinners to win. What I think is going to win, I think I'm going to go either One Battle After Another or Marty Supreme.
You gotta pick one. You gotta pick one.
For some reason, like, my heart is telling me to pick Secret Agent. So that's what I'm going to go with. I'm going to go with Secret Agent. Yeah.
Wow.
I really like that film, actually. So
Okay.
I'm going to go with Secret Agent.
Interesting how you narrowed down the two and then went one that wasn't in the two. Okay. My pick is Marty Supreme. I think Marty Supreme has no flaws. I think it's a great movie, perfect movie. It's my second of the year last year besides F1. I think I just had more fun with F1. But as far as acting and overall just cinematography and performances, of course, I'm going to give it to Marty Supreme. But what I think will win, I think Sinners will win. I think Sinners
Really?
I think Sinners will take it away. Yeah, I think Sinners, beloved by everyone, by critics, by fans, by moviegoers. And I just think personally that Sinners can take this award and no one will bat an eye to it.
I loved every single one of these movies, and I wouldn't be upset to see any of them take home the win. But can I play devil advocate with you really quick?
Let's run it.
We, of course, have a Best Animated Feature Film category, which we'll talk about later. But I don't think we've ever seen an animated film in this Best Picture category. And I'm a big advocate for animated films, so I just kind of wanted to pick your brain on that. Do you think we will ever see an animated film in this Best Picture category, even though it has its own category?
I don't think so. I think just to keep that tradition of, like, these are live action movies, these are animators, these are people on actual sets with, you know, actual scripts to memorize and not in a sound booth. I think that there's a difference between making animated films and respect to them. You know, obviously those take a lot of, you know, man hours to do and a lot of time and effort like any movie would. But I just think that Best Picture will always go to a film that is going to take some cinematography, is going to actually take you to go outside, touch some grass, you know, touch an actual set and do. I don't think we'll ever see that. And there's been some years in the past where we've had some strong animated films, but I just don't see that. If it hasn't happened before, I don't see it happening in the future.
Yeah, for sure. Well, like we said, I wouldn't be mad if any of these films win. We were big fans, 4 to 5 stars on Letterboxd for every single one of these films.
Yeah,
and
all of them, actually.
I certainly, I won't be upset to see any of these films win, and I am really, really interested to see who will actually win. Now we've talked about the movies. Let's talk about the people who make the movies. Best director. For this category, we have Chloe Zhao for Hamnet, previously directed Eternals, Josh Safdie for Marty Supreme, big name, Paul Thomas Anderson for One Battle After Another, Joachim Trier for Sentimental Value, and Ryan Coogler for Sinners. What do you think's going to get?
A lot of great names.
Yeah.
A lot of great names here, and not mad about any of these picks. Of course, I'm thrilled by seeing, Ryan Coogler get nominated. I'm thrilled about Paul Thomas Anderson. Paul Thomas Anderson has been nominated multiple times before. Mm-hmm. Of course, it's definitely interesting because, again, like, we're going to be seeing a lot of the same movies for a lot of the same categories. Right. And all of them are great. And what I think will win personally for my pick, I want to win Ryan Coogler for Sinners. That's my personal pick. I think that he did do the best job, and yeah, I think that'll win. But what I probably will win, I think Paul Thomas Anderson for One Battle After Another. Yeah. I think that's been a favorite for the Oscars, and I think he'll pull it away now. And I think he actually kind of leads that conversation right now.
We're going to be referencing the Golden Globes and Critics' Choice a lot. Those just happened, both of those in the past month or so. And Paul Thomas Anderson won that here, won that there. So I wouldn't be surprised to see him win it at the Oscars. But I agree with you. I would also love Ryan Coogler to win this for Sinners. Like I said, huge fan of Sinners. And I'm actually surprised to see you kind of mentioning Sinners so much, because when we previously talked about this, we both saw the movie a little late because it was one of those movies where there wasn't a ton of buzz, and then all of a sudden there was, and everybody was going to see it. And that was definitely what happened to Sinners, and we both came out of it with very different reactions. Like I said, this was probably top 3 movie of the year for me, if not number 1. So I'm just interested that you keep bringing it up as what you want to win.
Got to pay respect where respect is due. I think Ryan Coogler did a great job with this film. Did it meet my expectations? No, but I think those expectations were not set by the movie or Ryan Coogler. It was set by society, calling this, such a great movie, one of the greatest of all times. I'm like, really? So I go in with these high expectations. Was it great? Absolutely. But did it meet my expectations? No. But they're a stupid high. And I respect him for, directing this movie that we've never really kind of seen before, and something new. And not only did it kind of shock everyone, but it shocked everyone how great it was. Right. You thought the idea of Sinners, like, no one, when you first mentioned this movie, thought, man, this is going to be the best movie of the year, right? You look at the name, you look at the cast, absolutely it contends, but no one thought of that. And I think Ryan Coogler put together a masterpiece.
Yeah, so for what I want to win, Ryan Coogler, Sinners. But for what I think is going to win, I'm going to go a little bit off the charts here. I think Josh Safdie from Marty Supreme is going to win. I love movies that keep me on the edge of my seat, just constantly anxious the entire time. I hate being bored in a movie, and I just kind of love a movie that takes me on this, like, emotional roller coaster. And I feel like, I was in the movie, like in the game of ping pong almost. Mm-hmm. And I just think he did a wonderful job with that. Of course, the whole movie was amazing, but I think it's going to go to Josh Safdie from Marty Supreme.
And it's interesting with Josh Safdie because he typically works with his brother on projects. I believe it's Benny Safdie, right? Mm-hmm. And they worked on projects like Good Times with Robert Pattinson, Uncut Gems with Adam Sandler. And this is the second movie that Josh has directed by himself, and this being Marty Supreme. And it reminded me a lot of Uncut Gems, similar kind of directing styles and storylines, but he did do an incredible job with this movie.
Remind me, was this an A24 film?
Yes. Marty Supreme was A24.
Yeah, they're very known for their A24-ness, their association with that company. And I think those movies do a good job every single time. Everything Everywhere All at Once swept a couple years, and I wouldn't be surprised to see Marty Supreme do the same.
The next category we have is Best Actor in a Leading Role. The leaders of these nominations are Timothée Chalamet for Marty Supreme, Leonardo DiCaprio for One Battle After Another, Ethan Hawke for Blue Moon, Michael B. Jordan for Sinners, and Wagner Moura for The Secret Agent. Which one do you want to win?
Well, I think this is kind of another controversial and really hard category to choose for. Timothy Chalamet and Wagner Moura each won their respective categories at the Golden Globes, in which I kind of thought Michael B. Jordan was going to sweep for this. I think this was really one of Michael B. Jordan's best performances for me in Sinners. And so that is who I want to win. I feel like I'm like just a broken record, Sinners, Sinners, Sinners. But for me, that's who I want to win. Who I think is going to win, I think it's going to be Timothy Chalamet. A lot of people were really upset last year when he didn't win for A Complete Unknown. And I think that it's just kind of his time. His performance in Marty Supreme was really elevated and better than A Complete Unknown. And I think that it is his time to win this Oscar.
It is interesting. And in the words of Adam Sandler, Chalamet! It's gonna be Timothy, right? My pick, I absolutely love Timothy Chalamet. And I said this on the last episode I was on, not this past one, but the one before. I said my hot take will be he will beat out DiCaprio, he will beat out Michael B. Jordan, and he will take home Best Actor for Leading Role. Personally, like I said, I think that all of these roles are great, but who was the most generational? I think this was Chalamet's best performance he has done. And that says a lot because he's had a lot of great performances.
Yeah.
And no shade to the other actors. I think he will win, and I want him to win. I have him for both. But to combat you, Michael B. Jordan, I do agree this was his best performance in his career. Obviously, he does great in the Creed movies, Black Panther as well. But I just don't think it's enough to beat out Timothy Chalamet, just personally and, speaking for the Oscars.
Which is really, really unfortunate because, he plays two people at the same time. Mm-hmm. It was just an amazing performance. It made me have so many emotions. So this truly is a stacked year for the Oscars. Like, it's no clear-cut winner for any of these categories, except maybe a couple. And so I'm really interested to see how it's going to play out. But let's dive right into Best Actress. I just mentioned that none of these winners were kind of clear-cut, but for this category, it's clear cut for me. Best Actress, the nominations are Jessie Buckley for Hamnet, Rose Byrne for If I Had Legs, I'd Kick You, Kate Hudson for Song Sung Blue, Renata Rensby for Sentimental Value, and Emma Stone for Begonia. I think, Kate Hudson was a surprise here. Song Sung Blue, I saw it in theaters. It just wasn't... It wasn't one of her best performances for me. And looking at all these other actresses that were nominated, she just doesn't even really stand close to any of these performances. But what do you think?
Yeah, I haven't seen Song Sung Blue, but I've also heard that kind of news around the internet that it wasn't her best performance. A lot of people are surprised that she got thrown into this mix. This is also Rose Byrne's first nomination, and, she was known for making comedy movies like Bridesmaids and Neighbors, and I love to see this kind of change where you go into, these more serious, drama movies. If I Had Legs, I'd Kick You, so I love to see her name in there. Emma Stone as well, who started off with Easy A, Superbad, those kind of funny movies.
She is so funny.
And now I feel like she's really transformed her career into these drama, these thriller, these more serious roles. And
La La Land, and so many others.
La La Land, believe Poor Things recently.
She was nominated last year for that, I'm pretty sure, yeah.
Right, and then with this Begonia, personally, I want Emma Stone to win. I want her to win for Begonia. Begonia was one of my favorites of last year. I did not think I would like it as much as I did, but Emma Stone's performance was, it was a highlight.
Yeah.
It was a highlight of the movie, her alongside with Jesse Plemons. But what I think will actually win was, or will be, Jessie Buckley's Hamnet. And me and you saw this together.
Yeah.
And what are your thoughts about that?
I think, I kind of just said that it was really hard to pick winners for a lot of these categories. But for me, it's extremely clear. Jessie Buckley, I would bet money on this, a lot of money. I think she is going to win.
All of my money.
I would bet every single dollar in my bank account
all of my
that
assets.
Jessie Buckley is going to win for Hamnet. I would bet my cat's life on this, that Jessie Buckley is going to win for Hamnet, okay? Mm-hmm. And I just think it was so clear. Her performance was so standout. Her performance was the highlight of the film. There were moments that the film was really slow or just really not our vibe, but we would still be like, wow, everything about this is off. But Jessie Buckley is just acting her butt off in this. I think it's really clear that she is going to win for this, but I definitely agree with you about Emma Stone. I feel like, again, like broken records, we keep saying this a lot, but this was Emma Stone's best performance. But this is why this year's Oscar is so hard. I feel like for a lot of these movies, a lot of these actors, like it is their best performance. So it's just really hard. And I feel like even being nominated this year specifically is a huge honor.
Yeah, and Jessie Buckley with that role playing Agnes Hathaway, of course, the wife to William Shakespeare, played by Paul Mescal in the movie, absolutely transformed that character. I think it's just night and day how she actually is in real life into this performance on screen, and just the amount of emotion that she played into being a mother and, seeing, her son die, Hamnet die, and then brought back on stage.
Yeah.
In that final 30 minutes of the film for that Shakespeare play. And like you said, it was a hard movie to watch because at times we wanted to turn off. We'd rather watch paint dry because it was that boring. But that last 30 minutes and her performance, unforgettable.
I think a lot of actors kind of makes or breaks how they portray grief in a film and how you can kind of relay that and relate that to an audience. And I think she did this perfectly.
So speaking of actors and actresses, we're moving on to the Best Supporting Actor. The list goes with Benicio del Toro for One Battle After Another, Jacob Elordi for Frankenstein, Delroy Lindo for Sinners, Sean Penn for One Battle After Another, and Stellan Skarsgård for Sentimental Value. Tell me, which one do you want to win?
I want Stellan Skarsgård for Sentimental Value to win. That movie, I feel like I say all the time that it's hard to make me emotional, but with movies, it's really not.
Is it though?
With movies, it's really not. But Sentimental Value, I talked about this earlier in the year with Eternity. If you can kind of get a movie that has me thinking about and having like an existential crisis at the age of 20, then you've kind of won it for me. You're kind of a perfect movie. And Stellan Skarsgård's performance really, really touched me. So I think I really, really want him to win, and I think he's going to win.
Do you really?
I do.
Interesting. I didn't see Sentimental Value. Great that you talked about it that way. The other three movies I have seen, of course, you're going to be seeing One Battle After Another a lot and Sinners a lot on this kind of nomination list. I'm very surprised to see Benicio del Toro on this list personally. I feel like he had a small role.
I agree.
In One Battle After Another, and he wasn't. Obviously, he was great when he was on screen, but was it Oscar great? Personally, no, because Sean Penn to me makes sense. Sean Penn, absolutely, and Sean Penn has been a big name when it comes to Oscars. He has won 2 Oscars for leading male. Or was it 3? He's won
a
lot. And Jacob Elordi here makes sense to me. Delroy Lindo is interesting.
This makes sense to me. I was surprised to see this, but his performance was definitely a standout for me. It's interesting for me to see him on this list instead of somebody else that we'll talk about later, but I wouldn't be mad to see him win at all. I think every movie or every performance in that movie was standout. I wouldn't at all be surprised to see him win.
I disagree. I think he was put there a lot for comedic relief. Like, a lot of his lines were one-liners, and they were there for, just comedy value. And one could say the same about Benicio del Toro. Like, his whole scene of him getting arrested, like, that was, straight comedy. But personally, what I want to win, I want Jacob Elordi to win for Frankenstein. I think he absolutely transformed into Frankenstein. I've never seen a role like that. Sure, he was great in Euphoria. Sure, he was great in Saltburn. But him becoming Frankenstein and them adapting this story into a movie was phenomenal. And what I think will actually win, though, Sean Penn for One Battle After Another. I think him and Stellan are leading favorites for this category. I just personally think Sean was more of a standout. And, again, he's had history with the Oscars, and I think he could get it again. Absolutely.
Yeah, for sure. Well, let's move on to Best Supporting Actress. For the nominations, we have Elle Fanning, Sentimental Value, Ingna Ibstadar Lilias for Sentimental Value, Amy Madigan for Weapons, Wumne Mosaku for Sinners, and Tiana Taylor for One Battle After Another. Now, this is absolutely stacked list. This is one of Elle Fanning's first nominations for sentimental value, and I'm absolutely not surprised to see her on this list. One person I am kind of surprised to see on this list is Amy Madigan for Weapons. Well, we both saw Weapons, and
we did.
It's just a really interesting role to get nominated for, but the more I thought about it, it really did make sense to me that she was nominated.
For Gladys?
Yeah.
I was very surprised to see Weapons get kind of any nominations. I knew it was kind of just going to be a big horror thriller movie of the year. Very talked about, good cast with, of course, Julia Garner and then Josh Brolin and then Benedict Wong. And Amy Madigan plays, kind of the villain, the antagonist of the movie, Gladys. I don't know, man. That's just weird to kind of see her in there because all these roles are very just, drama-filled. But then this one was horror-filled.
She had me petrified in my seat. Okay, I went and saw this with my best friend, and there was a moment where she popped out in a jump scare, and we literally screamed in the movie theater. Like, it truly, she was terrifying the whole time. I was just so scared of her. So it truly makes sense that, there's some roles that I kind of forget that there's a real person under there. And that was kind of how I felt with her. So I'm less surprised to see her in this list as I thought about it. But my pick, I'm going to go for Elle Fanning Sentimental Value. Like I just talked about, it was an amazing film. She is an amazing actress. I think she's going to go on to do amazing things and just be in more and more amazing roles. She's kind of an Emma Stone type. I think with where her performances are going,
that's fair.
as far I could see her doing like bigger things like La La Land and Begonia and things like that. She's becoming more serious. So she's always been serious, but she does like comedy TV shows. But I'm not surprised to see her in this at all. I think she's gonna win, and she's who I want to win.
Okay. Take your word for it, of course. Like I said, I didn't get to see Sentimental Value. But for me, who I want to win is Tiana Taylor from One Battle After Another. And who I think will win will be Tiana Taylor from One Battle After Another. Wow, jumping my words there. And it's interesting the fact that she was only present in the film for the first 20 minutes of it. But I think she left such a mark and such a standout role in that movie that it deserves to be nominated. And I think just out of who she's going up against, I think she's the best option out of the 5,
Yeah, well, I think we're going to have to agree to disagree there. And when I finally do show you sentimental value, I think you will agree with me that Elle Fanning is going to take the cake.
Continue on with our categories. The next one we have is Best Original Screenplay. Different from Adapted Screenplay, this one is where the original story is not based on previous published work. Our nominations are Blue Moon, It Was Just an Accident, Marty Supreme, Sentimental Value, and Sinners. Tell me, which one do you want to win, Bella?
Now, I only saw a couple out of this category specifically. I think there wasn't a lot of choices this year for this specific category, and so that's kind of why we're seeing a couple outliers. Marty Supreme, Sentimental Value, Sinners, all great picks. I think, it's so hard.
Right.
I'm going to go, I want Sentimental Value to win. I think that's what I'm going to go. What I think is going to win, I want to say Marty Supreme, but my heart is telling me to go Sinners, but I feel like they're just going to be snubbed really badly this year. So my final answer is Marty Supreme, but I want Sentimental Value to win.
It is hard. It's hard to pick. It's because there's just good ones in here, and I've heard great things of all these movies. No one really has a bad thing to say about each of them. And like I said before, we're going to be seeing a lot of Sinners, going to be seeing a lot of Marty Supreme, going to be seeing a lot of Blue Moon. What I want to win personally, Sinners.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, look at it, because Sinners I respect a lot because we have never seen a movie like Sinners before. And the thing with Marty Supreme, it reminds me a lot of Uncut Gems. And I know they're different movies, but directed by the same person. And to me, they give you that same anxiety feel that you don't know if you want to root for the main character or if you do. But Sinners, I just think that is my personal favorite to win original screenplay, not off a book. And that means someone actually, came up with this, wasn't from a book, and they ran with it. And the way Ryan Coogler did with this movie, I got to put it above Marty Supreme. And I love Marty Supreme.
Yes.
I love it. And what I think will actually win...
It's Marty Supreme.
Sinners. Oh!
At the beginning of this episode, if you would have asked me if you were going to say Sinners, I would have said maybe once or twice. Certainly not as much as you've said it, but I am not mad. Like I said, I love Sinners so much.
Yeah.
I think it was absolutely amazing, but I just have this really awful feeling that it's going to get snubbed. In a lot of these categories. It did at the Critics' Choice. It did at the Golden Globes. I don't really understand why. And I just feel like it's going to kind of receive the same treatment at the Oscars. But, I mean, like we said, this year is so hard because we don't have a Amelia Perez to kind of be like, oh, come on, is that really going to win? But
don't even get me started.
Then
on
we
that,
say that, and that kind of swept last year. So take our opinions with a grain of salt, truly.
Absolutely. And, moving on from original screenplay, we have Best Adapted Screenplay, and these are, like I said, adapted from existing material, books, plays, etc. We have for this Begonia, Frankenstein, Hamnet, One Battle After Another, and Train Dreams. We have seen all 5 of these.
Correct.
Again, great list. Every category is going to have a great list of movies to look upon, and there's no standout. There's actually no standout here of like, oh, this one's definitely going to take it away.
No.
And it's hard to
It's all up to the voters this year.
And it's hard and it's weird to say that it's easier to pick a favorite rather than one that I actually win. Is that weird for me to say?
No, I feel like no.
Because a lot of these movies are so great, you don't know which the voters are going to lean towards.
Exactly.
But it's easier for me to pick a favorite. I feel like it's just not usually like that. A lot of times we're like, well, this is my favorite, but this one's definitely going to win.
Yeah.
But just for this, I'm just so baffled of how many good movies there are. It's easy for me to be like, well, I enjoyed this one more. But as far as it actually winning, no shot. I have no clue which one will take it away. But you tell me, which one do you want to win, and then which one do you think will actually win?
I want Begonia to win. I feel like Begonia has really not received its flowers this award season, and so I really, really want Begonia to win. I just thought it was absolutely amazing. What I think is going to win, the 3 stand out for me are Frankenstein, Hamnet, and One Battle After Another. It's hard to pick between those 3, but I am going to go... really, like, you could flip a coin and
it's hard.
It could be.
It's really
you
hard.
won't find me betting any money on any of these. Let's just say that. I'll go Hamnet.
You go Hamnet?
I'll go Hamnet.
Okay. Me.
Wait, actually, I want to change my answer. I want to change my answer. I'm gonna say One Battle After Another. No, I'm changing my answer. I'm gonna go One Battle After Another. Is gonna win. Yep.
Okay.
Say what you want to say now.
Okay. What I think. Process of elimination. What I want, I don't want One Battle. Just for this category.
Yeah, I agree with you. I don't want One Battle either.
I don't want One Battle. I don't want Hamnet, and so that leaves Begonia, Frankenstein, and Train Dreams. I'm gonna take out Frankenstein.
I agree.
And I'm gonna go Begonia or Train Dreams.
Yes.
And I loved both.
Yeah.
They were so beautiful, beautiful movies. I want Begonia too.
Yes.
I want Begonia too. And I was telling you about this before you watched it. How surprising it was to me that I would like it as much as I did. And I heard weird reviews of it. I heard just interesting just talks from it. I didn't think I'd actually like it as much as I did. And the next thing I did was rated a 4.5 out of 5 on Letterboxd. But nevertheless, I do think what would actually win is Hamnet. I think Hamnet will get its flowers in this category. I think it will just run away with this award, man. Yeah. Absolutely.
I think what's really interesting is both of those movies that we've talked about, Hamnet and Begonia, they didn't really bring a lot of people into the theaters. Not a lot of, box office records or box office talk. So I think a lot of the times that can kind of influence a movie or influence a win in a category is if it does really well in the box office. And I think like the clear standouts here just kind of really didn't do that. I mean, even One Battle After Another didn't do great at the box office.
No, it didn't. No.
I'm going to be really, really interested to see what wins. Now, this might be my favorite category, Best Animated Feature Film. I am a sucker for an animated movie.
Oh.
If I could do my top 4 on Letterboxd, it would be all animated. It would be all animated.
But they're not.
2 out of 4 are animated. I got to give myself a little bit of a limit.
Some
but
breathing room.
this is one of my favorite categories every year. I love animated films. Call me a kid at heart. You know, it is what it is. But here are the nominees: K-pop Demon Hunters, Zootopia 2, Arco, Elio, and Little Amelie, or the character of Rain. What do you think is going to win, and what do you want to win?
Listen, you know, let's flip it around this time, right? Well, I'm going to say I think K-pop Demon Hunters will take it away. Obviously, there's a lot of stir on the internet of, like, Zootopia 2 or K-pop Demon Hunters, like, oh, which should win, and there was a conversation at the Golden Globes. I just think K-pop Demon Hunters, you know, with it being an original story and how big it was. And I watched it for the first time the other day, going into it with a pessimistic view, and I came away like, that was actually a lot better than I was anticipating. I think that was the same vibe that kind of a lot of people got, was it was better than what they thought. I thought I wouldn't have enjoyed it all, but I did. But what I want to win is Elio.
Yeah, we have a very similar opinion on this. Mm-hmm. We saw Elio together, loved it. I think Elio is criminally underrated. I think Pixar movies often have the best message and are some of the most amazing movies. This had the unfortunate release in a already packed summer where, you know, movies cost a lot of money now, so it didn't do great at the box office. Didn't get a lot of talk, but I think the message was just absolutely lovely. I wanted to cry. You know, what I think is going to win, I agree. I think it's going to be K-pop Demon Hunters. The fact that a sequel was even nominated in Zootopia 2 is kind of crazy. Sequels don't usually get their flowers at the Oscars, but I think K-pop Demon Hunters is going to take it. You know, we've talked about it probably a million freaking times on this podcast. It's definitely going to take it, but in my heart, I want Elio to take it.
Right, and it's interesting we say Elio, and we kind of downplay Pixar. Like, it's our faults for going into Elio thinking we wouldn't enjoy it because Pixar doesn't make a bad film. They don't make a bad movie. Sure, they have like their best ones, and you know they're not as good ones, but they never make a bad film, and they never have a bad message. So, and I think it was marketed wrong too. I don't think they did a good job marketing it, like you said, with a packed summer it was. And going into it, I just didn't think it'd be good, and that was my mistake for underestimating it.
Yes, for sure. If Elio wins, we will be 2 very, very happy Pixar kids at heart. I don't know if I've already made it clear, but I was an AP Lit kid, AP Literature, big AP Lit kid. Uh-huh. And for my AP Lit class, we had to write a 7 to 10 page essay on a movie. And it could be about any aspect that you wanted. And I chose cinematography. I am a big cinematography nerd. I love cinematography in a movie. I can talk about the film 1917 for days and days and days. So this is going to be a really easy category for me to choose, but let's look at the nominees. Frankenstein, Marty Supreme, One Battle After Another, Sinners, and Train Dreams. For me, I think the winner is clear, but let's hear your take.
You think the winner is clear?
I think it is.
You know what? I think it is too.
Should we say it on the same time?
All right, let's do it. 3, 2, 1. Train
Sinners.
Dreams. What the?
Okay, all right. Well, we'll disagree.
Okay. Well, here's a problem. You know, you're gonna, devalue my opinion because you have this great almighty AP opinion on cinematography. So I guess my knowledge isn't as good as yours because clearly I didn't do that. I didn't take any AP classes. I was in the normal classes. But come on, man. Best cinematography. That movie was
Sinners.
Beautiful. Train Dreams.
I think that this was one of the movies that if you could have gone see, they re-released it for a week. I was like, let's go see it again. No. This was one of those movies, if you could see it in the theaters, it was 10 times better. I looked up the cinematographer after I watched Sinners to go see what other movies that they had done. I think it was gorgeous. I think it was amazing. Visuals are like my number one thing as somebody who can't see. They're the first thing I notice. Legally blind. So for me, Sinners, clear winner on this list.
You know what? I agree.
It's who I want to win,
matters.
And it's who I think it's going to win.
But I disagree. I think Train Dreams, what made Train Dreams so beautiful was just the cinematography in that nature he was in. We are taking... what's his name? We were taking Egerton, the actor, the main guy of the movie, and we're putting him in the woods. We're putting him in this late 1800s, early 1900s period. and we are immersed into this beautiful forest, into this beautiful, train that he's working on and cutting down trees. I almost felt like I was that person. I was the main character. How great that movie was and beautiful, and that's why it got such a high rating for me, is because the way it was shot, it stands out from the rest of these movies. I think Train Dreams will win. It needs to win a category. Please let it be cinematography. Please win something here, Train Dreams. And I want it to win that too.
Well, I guess we'll find out on March 20th, and we'll be back to report what actually wins. We talked about this with the Grammys. I'm a big, and Spotify Wrapped, I'm a big score and song girl. So this is just for me, and we'll just get this out of the way. Best Original Score, Begonia, Frankenstein, Hamnet, One Battle After Another, and Sinners. I want to hear your thoughts first.
To me, like we said in the last category, I also think that this category has a clear
winner. Let's hear it.
Like a clear winner. You want to do 3, 2, 1 again?
Sure.
Let's do it. 3, 2, 1.
Sinners. There we go.
Okay, see, now we're there.
Page.
Now we're there, actually. And not me being biased, because Sinners is a great movie, but I just think it blows every ball out of the park.
Yeah, clear winner.
I think it's just not even close. It's not even a conversation with the other movies. Now, respect to the other movies, absolutely. But there is no conversation when it comes to Sinners being Best Original Score.
I agree, for sure. Ludwig Göransson has worked with Ryan Coogler, I think almost on every film. Black Panther 2 and 3, or 2. They're a dynamic duo, and I think that he is going to take it. Although, if F1 was on here, I think that would take it.
Yeah, Hans Zimmer, I'm a little...
And I'm honestly surprised that he's not
he didn't get on
here.
there, because Hans Zimmer obviously does great in every project he works on, and a lot of the greatest scores of all time come from that name,
Absolutely.
Hans Zimmer. So, interesting he wasn't on here, but, of course, Ludwig Göransson for Sinners, it's beautiful.
Breathtaking.
Breathtaking is a great way to put it.
But let's move on to original songs. You have Dear Me from Diane Warren, Relentless, Golden from K-Pop Demon Hunters, I Lied to You, Sinners, Sweet Dreams of Joy, Viva Verde, and Train Dreams from Train Dreams. I'm interested to hear your thoughts. I know we've both only heard a couple of these, but I think we've heard the ones that are the clear frontrunners here. So let's hear it.
Yeah, me personally, what I want to win will be I Lie to You by Sinners. I think that scene in particular was a standout in the film, where they have kind of the production, their setup, their bar or their club, and they get Miles Canton's character on stage, and he's singing and he's immersing the different eras and the different just people.
It brought my brother to tears.
All into this dance, this floor, and his voice was echoing throughout the theater, and it was so immersive, and it was jaw-dropping of how amazing his voice was, but also how amazing that his voice carried that scene into everyone's hearts. And to be honest, that to me was the scene I took away most from the movie.
That was the best scene of the movie. I definitely agree. What I think is going to win, though, one at the Golden Globes, Golden from K-Pop Demon Hunters. When we watched it, this is probably the best song or at least one of the best songs in the movie. It's my favorite song from the movie, and I think it's going to win.
Yeah, I think it's my favorite song from the film as well. Of course, I'm not big into the movie. I don't have a ranking of each song, but I do believe it is up there, and I think it'll win as well.
Yeah, well, perfect. I can't wait to see what's going to win.
I kid you not, every movie in the world would suck so hard without film editing. Film editing is so important to the final putting together of a movie. To me, it could be the key piece of a movie. If your film is not edited well, it is garbage. It is trash. And a lot of these movies on this list have great editing, right? Hence the nominations, of course. And leading that is F1, then Marty Supreme, One Battle After Another, Sentimental Value, and then following Sinners.
Should we say this at the same time? For
me,
all these movies are wonderful, but for me, I think the one that I want to win and the one that I think is going to win is Clear, and I think you might be surprised, but
I agree, because mine what I want to win, I think will actually win.
Okay, perfect.
You
Well,
wanna do
should
it?
we say it at the same
let's
time
do it.
again?
Let's
Okay.
do this again.
3, 2, 1,
F1.
F1.
Ah!
Nice.
Oh!
Perfect.
Oh!
Perfect.
Oh no! Oh no! You picked F1.
Yes, I
What?
did.
No
I
way.
know.
Really?
I do as much as many qualms as I have with that film. I do think it's gorgeously edited. It's gorgeously put together. I did text you. I said, or called you after I watched the film, and I said, as much qualms as I have, it literally makes me feel like just like how I feel when I'm watching an actual F1 race. And I just think, that was absolutely amazing. I'm going to go F1. Think it's going to win. Want it to win.
Yeah, when you leave the theater and you get in your car and you want to drive it like an F1 car.
You want to be Max Verstappen.
Yeah, you want to be Sonny Hayes, Brad Pitt in that movie. You want to be the guy behind the wheel. That movie's editing was so great and immersive. Like, you were actually in an F1 race on that track competing against other F1 drivers. Like I said, when you get out of that theater, you get in your car and you want to start driving, you want to drive like a F1 driver, because that's how great that movie was. And just, I think it did a terrific job. I mean, of course, Sinners, I think, is up there as well with film editing.
For sure, I agree.
But F1, man, F1 was so good just with the races and, with the cameras around the track and allowing you to kind of just get every angle of a race and inside, cockpits. Like, it's just
And would it
beautiful.
surprise you to know that you can actually experience that in real life with the exact same cameras used in this movie in an actual F1 race? Because all the sets, everything in that movie was real. And speaking of sets, what about production design?
What about production design? Let's get into it. Nominees are, of course, Frankenstein, Hamnet, Marty Supreme, One Battle After Another, and Sinners. Of course, a lot of the same names, but production design is, to me, one of the most important things when it comes to a film as well. Editing, of course, big when it comes to, after the fact of filming, we got to put it together. But production design, you want to get your set to look exactly the way you want it to. You want to get to look like it's piece, it's movie. And it's extremely important. And again, we have a lot of nominees that did just that in their movie, where they took you to that period. They took you to that time frame where you are inside that period of time. So speak on that. Tell me, which one do you think will win, following with which one do you want to win?
It's getting easier and easier as I go down the list, and maybe I'm just wanting to connect with the voters and they want the same things as I do, but I want to win is what I want to win is Sinners, and I actually do think that that's going to win for this. I do. What are your thoughts?
I disagree.
What a surprise.
We've agreed before, but with production design, I want to give my flowers to Frankenstein.
Yeah.
I want to give my flowers to Frankenstein. With that set in that time period, everyone was looking like they belonged in that period to a T. No words can describe what I thought of Frankenstein, but of course, Sinners is a good one, and One Battle After Another was great. Marty Supreme, Hamnet, these guys, absolutely they should all be talked about, but I think Frankenstein just best put that production design together. I mean, think about just what they wore as well in that time period. You're looking at, the houses, you're looking at the towns, you're looking at that castle that Frankenstein was in, that, he made his monster in. It just, all of it was beautiful, and great to Netflix for putting that together.
Yeah, for sure. Now, we've talked about all these other great categories that we've seen for 98 years in a row, but let's talk about a category that the Academy added for the first time this year. It is the best casting. Now, this has been a category that many people have asked for many, many years, and I'm happy that they finally added it.
Yeah, I'm surprised it took them this long to add it to the nomination list. And I'm glad, it is in here. It took them 98 Academy Awards to finally bring him here. But I'm glad it's here. And, of course, the nominees, of course, Hamnet, Marty Supreme, One Battle After Another, The Secret Agent, and Sinners.
It's hard for me to choose because
Yeah.
we've never seen this before, like we just said.
True.
So it's hard for me to choose, and I think every single one of these had great casting. So I'm just going to go for my favorite this year.
Okay.
and that's Sinners. But I wouldn't be surprised if Marty Supreme won, though. So what I want to win, Sinners, not a surprise. I'm a broken record this episode. What I think is going to win, I think it'll be Marty Supreme.
Yeah, and it's a good point you bring up. It's never been talked about before, so we don't know, how they're going to judge this category. We don't know, what they're looking into. So we're kind of those fresh eyes that get to look upon it and be like, maybe they might do this, maybe they might do that. But we don't know. We do not know. But my pick, what I want to win is One Battle After Another. I'm a big DiCaprio guy. I love DiCaprio. I love how Tiana Taylor, I went from watching her in Medea, and now she's in here with a great, strong performance. Sean Penn, Chase Infinity, Guillermo del Toro. It's a great cast, and they all did great, and a lot of them, nominated in these movies. Nominated in these categories for a reason. I think this was best casting, but what I think will actually win, I agree with you. I think it'll be Sinners. I think it'll be Sinners.
Nice.
Just that casting as well. Michael B. Jordan and Haley Steinfeld and Miles Catton, and so many other names. They all also poured their heart and soul into this film, and you could tell when you're watching it on screen. And not one of them just were subpar or missed the mark.
Yeah, it was absolutely amazing. I'm really intrigued to see who wins this category this year, and I'm really happy that it's here, and hopefully it doesn't go away anytime soon.
Absolutely.
Now that we talked about every single lovely person who got nominated, let's talk about the people that missed out on some nominations, and I'll let you go first for this one.
Yeah, of course, respect to all the voters and people who put in the submissions. And this year, particularly very hard to kind of just narrow down your options because there's a lot of standout performances.
And there were a lot of snubs this year.
A lot.
But we're going to do our top three.
Yeah, let's do our top three, and, we can go on forever about it. But
there were a lot of snubs this year, but it was a packed category. It was packed this year.
It was. I'm not mad about the people who were nominated in the movies that were nominated. I'm not mad about any kind of just nomination because I do think they deserve to be there.
I agree.
I just personally wish that the categories were bigger just so we can fit more into there because I'm saddened by some of these performances that they just didn't make the cut.
Yeah,
so
sure.
I'm going to start with it, my top three. Going into it, not in any order, of course. Dwayne Johnson for Smashing Machine for Best Actor. This was a role I've never seen The Rock do. The Rock is always known for playing that same protagonist, that same kind of charismatic, strong guy that's going to win, Central Intelligence, Jumanji, the Fast and Furious movies. He's kind of always played that big, tough guy. But this one, he plays Mark Kerr, and it's based off a true story. And even Christopher Nolan gave it praise that this was an emotional role and he got like a 16-minute ovation for this movie, Dwayne Johnson did, for playing his character. And I just thought he should get put in there just for the amount of raw effort and transformation he put into this role. I'm sad that he didn't get nominated. My next one will be Chase Infinity for One Battle After Another. Very surprised that she didn't get put in. Well, were you surprised by that?
I was extremely surprised considering the amount of flowers that One Battle After Another has gotten at the Oscars for this year and how many awards that I think they're going to take away. I was really, really surprised, especially she's so young. And she carried a lot of the movie, and I think she did a fantastic job. So it 100% did surprise me to not see her name under Best Actress.
Yeah, I remember when I first looked at nominations and then, Best Actress came out, and I was kind of puzzled, confused. I'm like, why is her name not on there? I mean, what a standout performance, not only just out of all the films, but this film in particular with a lot of big-name actors. I think that she was, alongside that level of Leonardo DiCaprio in the film. She did such a great job, and this being kind of her first really big film. And then the final one I have will be Jesse Plemons for Begonia as Best Actor. Me and you love Begonia. Me and you, we like Begonia a lot. I liked it more than I anticipated. And he's been in a lot of great movies recently as well. And he's put, of course, Power of the Dog, Good Things, but never seen a role like this, Begonia.
This was his best role ever.
And it hurts because I actually do believe, you can make an argument for Dwayne Johnson, maybe he could, maybe he shouldn't, but absolutely Jesse Plemons should have been on this list.
And I've actually seen a lot of actors and actresses talking about how he got snubbed. Jenny Slate just comes to mind, but I've seen many others talk about kind of how he got snubbed when asked in interviews. So definitely surprising that he did not get nominated for Best Actor for me. But we'll talk about my snubs. Miles Canton for Sinners, Best Supporting Actor. You know, as much as I am kind of a Sinners glazer, I love Sinners. I think that it is absolutely crazy that he did not get nominated for this.
Yeah, and it's weird that his, another counterpart in the role got it over him when I thought Miles was just a standout performance in the film, and I thought he should have, if you're going to pick the best supporting actor in this film, I thought Miles Kent would have been that guy 7 days of the week.
And there was definitely room because there were 2 supporting actors from One Battle After Another. So there was definitely room for him. If I wanted 2 from any movie, it definitely would have been Sinners. My next snub, Oscar Isaac, also for Frankenstein. I think that this is absolutely one of his best roles. He has such a wide range, of course, from many MCU projects to just so many other things that we could sit here and name his IMDb page, and he is just amazing in everything he's in.
Yep.
And I was really, really surprised not to see his name on the list. I think Jacob Elordi was great, but for me, Oscar Isaac stood out more than he did.
Whoa!
In this movie.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Ain't no way. And no, listen, flowers to Oscar Isaac. Oscar Isaac was wonderful, and I do think he should have been considered absolutely, and maybe absolutely should have been in this category, but I'll bet better than Jacob Elordi.
Yeah.
No, there's no way. No way, but, your take, obviously.
My final snub, Wicked for Good. Wicked for Good did not get nominated for anything now. We both know your opinion on this. Wicked for Good, more like Wicked for Bad.
Yeah, that movie blows, dude. That movie blows.
I definitely agree. It was not as strong as the first one, but for me, Ariana and Cynthia Erivo's performances were stronger in this one than they were in the first one. I think they were more emotional, and I just think it was stronger all around. Maybe not vocally, but definitely acting-wise. I think Ariana Grande really stepped out of her box here, and so I'm just really surprised not to see them nominated for anything, not makeup, not hairstyling, not production design, because you can't, I mean, those sets are all hand-built. Those tulip fields are all hand-done.
Yeah.
And I mean, the makeup and the costumes and just everything is amazing. So maybe it didn't surprise me as much to not see them for anything acting, but it really surprised me to not see them for anything production-wise, set design, costume.
I don't know. To me, it does not surprise me because the Oscars are known for historically not giving sequels really any love, right? They're not known for giving sequels just winning awards. Maybe a nomination's absolutely here and there, as we see Zootopia 2 is on this list. But no, I don't think that Wicked for Good should be nominated for anything. It's very identical to the first one. And why would it get nominated for these same categories it was in the first one if there's just no point, because there's nothing new to this film. It's using the same sets as it did the first one, right? Sure, you're taking out, School of Wiz, whatever, I don't care. But Wicked for Good, yes, Ariana was a standout, but there's no reason that it should be nominated here if it's just going to be a sequel with nothing new to it.
And it was snubbed last year, so, I mean, I guess it's eliminating the pain. Well, they got nominated last year for a lot, but they got snubbed. So I guess you are eliminating the pain kind of them having to go to the Oscars and not win anything again.
Yeah, last year was the argument. You definitely make the argument they should have won a few categories, but this year, absolutely not. That movie was not good, and we can't reward bad movies, and especially sequels that didn't really bring anything new to the table. Yes, Ariana Grande was a standout, but should she be above these fellow actresses? And I disagree.
Well, clearly we have very differing opinions on a lot of things, but we also have a lot of agreeing opinions on a lot of things. So I'll be very interested to see how every single category shakes out come March. We hope you enjoyed this week's episode. Be sure to check us out at our website at kykernel.com.
That's right. Be sure to follow us on all of our social media platforms. That's X, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, and Spotify.
Thanks for listening to Pop Goes the Kernel. See you next week.